Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome. Today's topic is the 1981 Cleveland Indians MLB season. Again, the Indians were playing a ball at Cleveland Municipal Stadium. They'd been there for close to 50 years. 1981 was a tough year for baseball because of a players' strike, and there was no baseball played from June 12th to July 31st. So this was really tough because kids get out of school and then early June, then there's no baseball. The height of summer, all of July, basically, there was no baseball because of this players' strike. The Indians lost 59 games in the season. Their overall record was 52-51, but the powers that be in baseball decided to divide the two halves of the season. The beginning and the first half, there was a first place winner in each division, and the second, and the same thing in the second half. And those two first place winners played each other in a extra playoff round. And then that first half, the Indians finished in sixth and last place, 5 games out of first. And in the second half, they finished in fifth place, again 5 games out. So I remember in the second half, it seemed like we were maybe 3 games out near the end, so we had a shot. It was I think it was a dumb idea what they did, because the Cincinnati Reds had the best record in baseball, but they didn't make the playoffs because they finished second both times. So anyway, the Tribe got out to a very good start. On May 17th, they were 18-9, and they were in first place. But then they definitely faded after the players' strike was resolved. And baseball started playing again. The All-Star game, which had been scheduled for in Cleveland, was played on August 9th, and there was a huge crowd of fans who came. 72,086 came to Cleveland Municipal Stadium to see the National League win the game 5-4. So anyway, it was a kind of a tough year for baseball, and the coaching staff, again, Dave Duncan was back. And he was popular, the old catcher with long hair, and the guy who had power but a low average, and the women, really loved Dave Duncan. Joe Nosek was another coach, good guy. Everybody loved Joe Nosek. Had a real friendly, funny guy. And then on the radio, Tribe fans were listening to the games called by Herb Score for many years. Herb died in 2008. He was 75. God bless Herb Score. Real good guy. His partner on the radio was Nev Chandler, who I remember mostly as a Browns announcer. Yeah, he died young. He was only 47. Died in 1994. On TV, one story about Nev Chandler. He's from Rocky River. I lived down the street from him. Talked to him one day. I was out for a walk, and then in 1986, I was making Cleveland Browns hard hats, and I dropped one off at his house, and he wore it on TV during the sports news, 1986. On TV, Joe Tate had transferred from radio to television, still doing Cavs games. Again, his partner was Bruce Drennan, who's been around for a long time, still does a talk show. In the traveling secretary was Mike Segui, the son of Phil Segui, the GM, and he won the Good Guy Award. Mike Segui. These traveling secretaries have to make travel arrangements, hotels and airplanes and so forth. Our manager again was Dave Garcia, who was born in East St. Louis, Illinois. Longtime baseball guy. He was an older fella here, and he had a long career in the minor leagues and coached all over the place. In the field, we had Miguel Delaney in left field. His average had dropped 50 points, but it's pretty tough to keep up when you're hitting 340. He still had a good year. He hit 290 with 0 home runs, 19 RBIs, 29 stolen bases. This guy could run. From the Dominican Republic, or La República Dominicana in the Caribbean. In center field, Rick Manning hit 244 with 4 home runs, 33 RBIs, and 25 stolen bases. The native of Niagara Falls, New York, Rick Manning, longtime center fielder, still on TV now. In right field, George Arda hit 272 with 5 home runs, 34 RBIs, and he was from Mazatlan, Mexico. Well, our family went to Mexico. I remember we were in Mazatlan, Mexico. My father, I remember we went to Mazatlan and Culiacan, and my father and I had a routine where I would say Mazatlan, he'd say Culiacan, and then and then he'd say no molestar, which was on the doors of the hotel rooms. It means don't let the person sleep. Toby Harrah was at third base, hit .291, 5 home runs, 44 RBIs, 12 stolen bases. Native of Sissonville, West Virginia. So Harrah gave us a good year. Again, he had a good average. Tom Verizor was at short, hit .244, 0 home runs, 14 RBIs. All the numbers are down here because the Indians only played, like 100-some games. Dwayne Kuiper was at second base, hit .257, 0 home runs, 14 RBIs. He was from Racine, Wisconsin. If you've seen the movie A League of Their Own, there's a scene in women's baseball in the 40s. There's this one of the characters got all mad. She says, "I was traded to Racine, Wisconsin." Guess they had a team. Mike Hargrove had a tremendous year at first base. Hit .317, tremendous average, 2 home runs, 49 RBIs. Native of Perryton, Texas. Hargrove was Man of the Year, voted by the players and or voted by the sports writers, and then he won the Gordon Cobbledick Golden Tomahawk Award, which was voted on by the players. Yeah, he was a tremendous player. Ron Hassey was our catcher, hit .232, 1 home run, and 25 RBIs. Hassey's numbers were a little bit down. The designated hitter was Andre Thornton, who hit .239, 6 home runs, 30 RBIs. Those numbers were not very good for him. He had a number of injuries, so that kind of Thornton was struggling because of that. Of course, he'd been out the previous year, and again, he had more injuries. Our catcher, now some of the bench players, Chris Bando hit .213 in 21 games. He was a catcher, and he was the brother of Sal Bando, the tremendous third baseman for the Oakland A's. Won 3 World Series in '72, '73, and '74. And they were in the Bandos from Solon, Ohio, in the Cleveland area, southeastern Cleveland. And the Indian scouts felt bad about missing Sal Bando, who had a tremendous career with the A's. So we signed his younger brother, Chris, who was a good player, not an all-star like his older brother, Sal. Another bench player, Alan Bannister, at .263, 1 home run, 17 RBIs, 16 stolen bases. Bannister could hit and had some speed, good player. Joe Charbonneau had the typical sophomore slump. He only hit .210, 4 home runs, 18 RBIs in 48 games. He had back problems, and he also probably maybe partied too much or enjoyed himself too much in the off season. He was so popular in Cleveland. The previous 1980 Super Joe Charbonneau. So he struggled in his second year with the Tribe. Bo Diaz was another catcher and had a tremendous year. He made the All-Star team, hit .313, and he led the Indians with 7 home runs. So you can see how we didn't have much power that year. And very sadly, Bo Diaz, he was from Caracas, Venezuela. 10 years later, he died at age 37. He was adjusting the satellite dish on the roof of his home, and that satellite dish fell on him and crushed his head and neck. He made the very tragic, died at 37. But he made the All-Star team that year, and which was played in Cleveland. He was elected to the Venezuela Baseball Hall of Fame. Jerry Dubzinski had a very good year, hit .298. The kid from Collinwood. Yeah, he filled in at short. He could play, I think, short, second, and third. And Mike Fischlin, we picked up in an April 3 trade with the Astros. He was another utility infielder, hit .233 in 22 games. Von Hayes had his first year in what became a real solid career. He hit .257 in 43 games. Von Hayes was a guy who had, eventually, he had power and speed. Pat Kelly hit .213 in 48 games. He was an outfielder and picked him up as a free agent. His brother Leroy Kelly was a running back for the Browns earlier, back in the 60s, early 70s. Larry Littleton, hit .000 in 26 games. He had 23 at-bats, did not get on base, didn't get a hit. Carl Pagel hit .267, 14 games, the brother of Mike Pagel, who was a quarterback for the Browns. Ron Pruitt had .000 in 5 games, 9 at-bats, did not get on base. He was a catcher. Dave Rosello, native of Puerto Rico, hit .238 in 43 games. I believe he was an infielder. And then in the pitching staff, John Denny went 10-6 with a 3.15 ERA and 6 complete games. So Denny gave us a good year. Remember, these numbers are all down because of the short season. You know, they missed more than a third of the games were not played. Bert Blyleven went 11-7 with 2.88 ERA, 9 complete games, native of Zeist, Netherlands. Well, he was born in Netherlands. And we picked him up in a big trade in the off-season. The Indians sent Gary Alexander, Victor Cruz, and Bob Auchinko to the Pirates for Blyleven and Manny Sanguillen, a catcher. It's too bad. Sanguillen retired. We didn't get to have Manny Sanguillen in Cleveland. Sanguillen was a good catcher for the Pirates. So anyway, we picked up Bert Blyleven, who was one of the best pitchers in baseball in the 70s. And it was pretty cool having him on the team. Len Barker went 8-7 with a 3.91 ERA, 9 complete games. He made the All-Star game, and he had the highlight game of the year. He threw a perfect game against the Blue Jays on May 15th at the stadium. There were 7,290 fans, a very small crowd because it was pretty cold. It was 48 degrees. The last out was a fly ball to center field hit by Ernie Witt, caught by Rick Manning, who immediately jumped in the air, and everyone celebrated this. Dwayne Kuiper, Rick Manning, and Toby Harrah all had very good plays in helping Barker be able to complete this perfect game. Last no-hitter thrown by a Cleveland Indian, by large Lenny Barker. Wayne Garland was 3-7 with a 5.79 ERA. He retired after the year. I think it's his contract. No, his contract hadn't run out yet. He was hoping to catch on with other teams, but he retired. And I think the Indians were still paying him. Rick Waits went 8-10 with a 4.92 ERA. Not so great, pretty high ERA. Tom Brennan went 2-2 with a 3.17 ERA. Ed Glynn went 0-0 with a 1.17 ERA. We picked him up on an April 6th trade with the Mets. Bob Lacey went 0-0 with a 7.59 ERA. Dennis Llewellyn went 0-0 with a 5.40 ERA. And then Sid Manji was 3-5 with a 4.34 ERA and 4 saves. He had been our tremendous closer. Dan Spillner actually led the team in saves. He was 4-4 with a 3.14 ERA and 7 saves. So, and Spillner could be a starter or a reliever. Mike Stanton went 3-3 with a 4.92 ERA and 2 saves. Just to back up to Ron Hasse, Hasse actually he was the catcher for Len Barker's perfect game, and he also caught a perfect game thrown by Dennis Martinez with the Expos in 1991. Of course, so that's pretty good. Very unusual having a catcher catch two perfect games. And of course, Dennis Martinez later played for the Indians in the mid-90s. So the 1981 Tribe, it was tough having the All-Star, losing all those games. Fun having the All-Star game. It was Len Barker's perfect game was a real highlight. So God bless all the fellas, all the guys who played for the 1981 Cleveland Indians, and all the people who worked for the Indians, their different employees, and the fans from 1981 who rooted for the Tribe and had a tough time for half of June and July when there were no games. So good luck to the 2018 Cleveland Indians. Captains of the Cuyahoga, lovers of Lake Erie, Terminal Tower Power. Tribe rules, Cleveland City of Champions. It's been 70 years since 1948. This is our year. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.